Hi, this is Cheryl back with you from Farmhouse Frugally. If you are new to my channel, you will find a lot of beautiful crafts, some furniture flips. I have a gorgeous dresser I am working on. Phenomenal dump hauls. We have great items here in our town. And then I turn many of those items from trash into treasure. Today I am working on some Father Day flips for you. And this first item that I am going to make over is just a small wooden box that actually was in a box full of wooden items that was left on the good table at our dump. And so I had an idea of something that I could make for my husband for Father's Day. I have a number of these samples of paint that were left last summer at our dump, and somebody must have painted a room in their home. 4 or 5 of them are very similar in the gold, mustard, sage colors. And so I would like to use that here because it matches some of the items that I have in mind for my husband. So I just gave this 1.5, really. I mean, one good coat, and then the second coat I think I just kind of ran over here and there where it needed. It didn't need a full coat. This is a latex paint and covers very, very well. Once both top and bottom were completely dry, I did go through my stash to see if I had any hinges that I would be able to use to make this an actual box that opens and closes. And I did find that. So once, I waited for that to be completely dry so that I would be able to attach these hinges, and needed to pre-drill a little tiny hole. And then I have this beautiful, almost cloth paper that I had used in a Christmas present for my husband who does clock repair. I made him a beautiful diorama out of a clock case, and I used this as the wallpaper on a clock shop. So here I decided I would like to use a piece of it. So I was just seeing what portion of that I might like. I attached the hinges here, cut out a piece, and then just using Mod Podge, I went ahead and attached that right to it. Now this is very porous and not like a tissue paper. It's really like cloth, like you could really pull on it and it would not rip. So it is good for certain projects as long as you don't try to turn corners with it or do anything fancy. If it's going flat on a flat piece, it works great. And then I like to put a pretty generous amount of the Mod Podge over the top to make sure that it is going to lay down and stay down once it is completely dried and not lift up. I noticed on the corners after I had done this on both sides, I still had to sort of reapply a little bit underneath the little tissue fabric, whatever, right here. And I did get this. Where did I get this? I want to say Etsy. Pretty sure I got it on Etsy. Then after that was done, I went through my stash and I found this little metal, I don't know what that's called, for like an apothecary or a library thing that you could stick a little piece of paper in there. And it had these little, not quite screws, but little pieces to attach. So I put that on. And then once everything was completely dry, I took a sanding block and just went around the edges of that to make sure that I could get that little bits and pieces off to make it fit perfectly and maybe distress it just a little bit. It wasn't terribly distressed, but I do like how a sanding block will make that a nice straight cut. It makes it look very finished once you get that all done. And then I added a little knob that I had hanging around, and I think that it came out absolutely beautiful. And my husband is one of those who has change and a wallet and extra glasses and every little bits and pieces, like they say about boys, snips and snails and puppy dog tails. That's my husband. He has little bits and pieces of everything everywhere. So I thought maybe he could use it as something for that sort of thing, or down in his clock shop for little pieces and parts. Item number 2 is for the dad who is the chef or the grill master in the house. I went to the dollar store and picked up some tea towels. I ran them through the wash and dryer and then ironed them. I just wanted to get the sizing off. Folded them up really nice. And then I took out my IOD stamps, and using the farmhand letters and the I think Farmhouse maybe animals, I just simply stamped with some StayOn black ink and put the pig and the letters Bacon Boss on one of those tea towels, and I thought that would be perfect for my husband who loves bacon. And then here I am doing another one to show you the process. I put cardboard in between so I wouldn't have the ink go through. I take the ink, this time I'm doing a sheep, and just stamp the ink generously on that because, it does need to have quite a bit of ink for fabric. And then just carefully place it where you want it on the tea towel. And you can, once this is fully dry, you can go over it again with your iron to make sure that the image will be heat pressed in, so you'll be able to wash this in the future. I didn't put any words on this one. I just thought it was pretty as is. And then I decided to do a third one a little bit differently for my kitchen. And I took out the bunny or the little hair, which I love, and this gorgeous blue ink for the blue that is in my kitchen. And I just went ahead and did the same thing, making sure I had the cardboard in between, stamping that nice and covering it well. First time you use IOD stamps, you do want to lightly sand them so they'll take the ink. And you want to make sure you don't get any on the other part of the plastic, because then obviously that will make a mess onto the cloth. And then just put it where you want it, press it down, hold it with one hand, and then I like to just sort of run over the whole thing, because sometimes you'll think you've got it all and you missed the tail, or you missed, a little piece of the foot or whatever. So you can lift it real slowly if you want to make sure that, especially the first few times, that you are confident you got the whole thing, or you can just lift it right off. Love the way this came out. Once I finished that, I just did the same blue ink on the letters HOP to make that say hop, because I thought that would be sweet for spring, not just Easter, but spring, summertime too. And so that is all there is to it. I think this would be a great Father's Day gift for the kids to do. And it's very inexpensive. These tea towels, I think, were like $1 a piece. And so here it is in my kitchen. And then that takes me on to item number 3. And here I'm just taking a piece of barn board that I had, cut it down, and just took some of my antiquing wax and warm water mixture, shook that up good, and then just took the paintbrush and painted that on the raw edges where I had cut it, so that I could blend that in and have it match the rest of that beautiful brown on the barn board. And then because it is an antiquing wax, it dries really quickly. Now, you may remember in my most recent yard sale that I picked up an office caddy for papers that generally hangs on the wall, and it was $1 at a yard sale, and I think you can find this sort of a thing at any thrift store. So if your dad or your husband works in an office environment, this is a great way to upcycle one of those little caddies. So once that is completely dry, here is the one that I bought for $1, and it had just this real cheap press board on the back, and it was screwed in with 4 little screws. So I just unscrewed it, and I had this just real small, they're very tiny screws, small screwdriver. And I loved this basket because it's in like a beautiful bronzy gold color. And I took the 2 hangers off the back as well, so that I would be able to use all of the hardware that came with it. And all I simply did to this item was to go ahead and attach that basket onto the barn board using the same 4 screws that it came with, and attaching the 2 zigzag holders on the back to be able to hang this on the wall. And I did like having 2 hangers because the barn board is significantly heavier than the press board that it had come on. I just love how that has just taken that $1 item and made it so much more updated, and looks so good with some of the items that he has that are in that same bronzy tone. But I felt like it needed a little something more. I love distressing, so I took it down and hit the edges with my sanding orbital sander, just to give it a little bit more of a rustic look, which goes more with our style. You don't have to do that part if you don't want, but I absolutely love this. So those were 3 easy flips that you could do for any dad, but I'm going to pop in a couple of other ideas here. And those are found on Pinterest. If you're interested, you could just search for them and you'll come up with all kinds of great ideas. Decoupage a family picture on a piece of wood for that real rustic look, or put rocks around a frame. Kids could do that very easily to make your own picture frame. I love this idea. Make a clock out of, this is a brake from a car, but I think a saw blade would be pretty awesome too if you have something like that. If you're handy, you could make this out of leather for just a nice keychain. And if you have a sewing machine, you could sew something for the edge of the couch. And I think this is the best for almost every guy this day and age has a cell phone, and I thought this would be very simple out of a piece of wood. So here's some great ideas. Hope you like them. Please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for stopping by.